This is Fieldsports Channel News. Police say a 37-year-old man arrested for the attempted murder of a gamekeeper has been released on bail. The arrest came after a 50-year-old Hampshire gamekeeper from the Lincolnholt estate, attempting to stop poachers shooting pheasants with catapults, was run down by a car. The keeper was seriously injured, suffering 2 broken legs and broken ribs in the attack. The Hampshire police investigation is continuing. The keeper has now been discharged from hospital. Around 15,000 people have marched on Westminster, demanding that Britain's waterways are cleared up. These pictures show the size of the protest in London, where anglers, swimmers, surfers, kayakers and even members of Safari Club International marched, waved placards and called for the government to make good on its pre-election promises to clean up the UK's polluted waterways. Organiser River Action is demanding MPs from all parties support calls for changes in the way the water companies manage water. They met politicians at the House of Commons to press for action to reduce pollution and improve water quality.
Off the back of the march, we've launched an all-party parliamentary group with Surfers Against Sewage, who are going to be really active of holding the government to account.
After last week's budget, financial experts are telling shoots on farms to keep calm, carry on and prepare for the future. Sporting estates and shoots linked to farms are expected to be hit by the new rules on inheritance tax, which applies to land ownings priced at more than £1 million from the 6th of April 2026. The announcement by Chancellor Rachel Reeves has led to calls for a mass protest in Westminster, with farmers' groups threatening to blockade London, as well as calls for a farmers' strike. A new tax rise would also hit those driving double cab pickup trucks. The Chancellor said changes to the inheritance tax rules for farms will raise £520 million a year for the Treasury by 2030. Land agent Carter Jonas sees a way through for shoots.
People who may own a sporting estate for sporting purposes it will be less impactful on them than it will be on your sort of core family farming business, because the ownership of land has moved asset and wealth into a low tax environment. Even with these changes, that it is still, relative to other asset classes, still a low tax environment. Even after these changes, it will still be a low tax environment for those individuals. Where it is uncomfortable is when you apply that tax charge to the core farming business, because they do not have the free wealth and free cash to pay that.
A new report from the National Gamekeepers organisation is highlighting the benefits of humane cable restraints. Working with the Game and Wildlife Conservation Trust, the NGO report takes information gathered from scientific research, case studies and first-hand information from gamekeepers. Nervous that England and Wales will follow the snares ban introduced in Scotland, the NGO has sent its report to DEFRA and MPs working in rural constituencies. Northern Ireland's anti-fox hunting Deputy Speaker John Blair is at the centre of a social media row. It all erupted after he posted pictures of a fox Christmas decoration on his Facebook page. Blair plans to introduce a private members' bill calling for a ban on all hunting with dogs in Northern Ireland, and it's likely to go further than his namesake Tony Blair's restrictions on hunting with hounds in England, and includes a ban on trail hunting. His bill is currently out for public consultation. It's clear from his fluffy fox Christmas ornament where his loyalties lie. So, how much does it cost to kill a stoat? Well, if you're the RSPB on Orkney, £1,200 each. New figures show that the Orkney Stoat project, led by the RSPB, will have cost almost £8 million when it concludes in 5 years. Gamekeepers ask why they could not have done the job faster and more cheaply. The bird charity maintains that gamekeepers have no experience of exterminating species, only of managing numbers, which means they're not qualified for the role. The RSPB says that it is qualified to exterminate a species. It says stoats have been on Orkney since 2010 and pose a threat to Orkney's native wildlife. It denies that the growing goose population has led to Orkney farmers increasing imports of livestock feed, therefore bringing in more stoats. Police say an American hunter may have been killed by bears attracted to the carcass of a deer he'd shot. Tad Fujioka, aged 50, was reported missing when he failed to return home from a deer hunt in Alaska. His body was found by Alaskan state troopers near the remains of a deer. Police say he appears to have been mauled to death. A report from Alaska's Department of Fish and Game said there were multiple brown bears feeding on a deer carcass nearby. If you own a four-wheel drive, ATV or quad bike in the south, you're being warned to keep your eyes peeled. Hampshire Police say there's an increase in off-road vehicles stolen from rural locations. It wants owners to increase security and call its Country Watch team to advise on precautions to deter thieves. Police are urging owners to use security markings and fit immobilisation devices. And finally, they've been a menace for generations. Now there's a chance that the American mink could be wiped out for good in the UK. Perhaps the most amazing thing is the news will arrive directly from the mink themselves, sent by text message. New technology loaded into smart traps has all but wiped out the mink population in Norfolk. It's now being rolled out across the UK because it's been such a success. The white box you can see on top of this mink trap is the key. It detects when a mink enters a trap, slams the cage shut, and then automatically sends a text to the trap owner who arrives to dispatch it. The new system is particularly good news for water voles, which form a major part of the diet of the invasive North American mustelid. The Water Life Recovery Trust introduced the traps. It says our native voles have declined by 97% since mink from the fur trade were released into the wild by animal rights activists in the 1950s.
If we're going to deal with some of the threats to our wildlife, we're going to have to be creative and use everything we have to solve some of the problems. And with mink, we think we've come up with a solution.
You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.